June 15, 2012. This is Justice Done Dirt Cheap. We're here with Evelyn Greene. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Andre. It's been a long process, a lot of documents, a lot of trying to give service without getting beaten up, you might say.
Yes.
And this morning I'm serving Chief McNate of Fredericton City Police.
Yes.
And the officers who beat me up in the ambulance in Brunswick.
Yes.
And contrary to what Don McPherson said from the Irving newspaper, the Daily Gleaner, he thinks that I have had to, or he has published that I basically lost all my rights to sue and everything or whatever. It just came across as though nothing worked out for me. I abandoned my private prosecution quite a long time ago so I could take up a civil suit. Okay? So this message goes to Don McPherson. Get your facts straight, buddy. Stop eating. Thanks.
All right. This way here, we'll catch him when he comes out. So you have a notice of action and statement of claim?
Yeah. Let me forget my purse.
Yes.
I just put them in here. And then this. So I think they open these box.
No.
This is the letter for Chief Mc. Are you recording?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is the what is known as the notice of action.
Yes.
Okay. You give 2 months notice to any Crown corporation, and you cannot give it to the Crown itself. You have to give it to the Crown corporation, such as Ambulance New Brunswick is a Crown corporation.
Yes.
But it is illegally incorporated as a private company as well.
Yes.
However, you best serve them a copy as a Crown entity.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm serving the police department.
Yes.
And I was told if you don't know they're a Crown corporation or not, then you just go ahead and send everybody a copy.
Yes.
Just in case, because the government won't tell me who's Crown and who isn't Crown.
Yes.
And I still have not got the Crown documents that we're supposed to be able to look at the Department of Health.
Yes.
So this is, Andre, the notice of action that was filed December the 2nd,
Yes.
2011.
Yes.
And Don McPherson from Irving newspaper knows that because I gave them a copy, but they chose not to print it.
Yes.
They only want to print negative things. And this is the actual claim itself. It names many people in the province.
Yes.
And it can be obtained at the clerk's office.
Yes.
It's Evelyn Greene versus the province of New Brunswick and many, many other people.
What's the file number?
The file number is S as in Frank, C 23811.
Okay.
And it was filed on January the 3rd.
Yes.
And it has to be served before the end of this month.
Yes.
June, which I'm working on doing now. And so what the judges don't give me in disclosure in the Crown prosecution, I'm hoping to get through the discovery process of civil litigation.
Yes.
And I'm also going after the parent company, Medivy Inc., who has its headquartered office in Nova Scotia.
Yes.
And Medivy Inc. Sometimes says it's operating under the name of Medivy Blue Cross, and then other times you'll see a registration saying that it's a partnership type of business. So they're very hard to pin down because I don't know how they've managed to do so many corporate flip-flops, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I do know too that Medivy EMS, the company that is for profit with secret shareholders and is a subsidiary of Ambulance New Brunswick.
Yes.
It is under the parent company, Medivy Inc., who says it's non-profit.
Yes.
And Medivy Blue Cross. But this Medivy EMS, or Medivy Inc., is not non-profit.
Yes.
But it's a subsidiary of a non-profit company.
Yes.
Okay? So that's how they do these, like Ponzi type schemes, or like building an empire. There's so many subsidiaries and things like that, people get lost in the paper trail.
So they get all the benefits without actually paying the price that other ordinary businesses would.
Well, it's sort of like too, like I've got the letter from Trinidad asking me for more information.
Yes.
Because Medivy EMS had sent a bid to Trinidad to send a fleet of ambulances from Canada for upwards of $90 million a year, and it was going to be all equipped in the whole thing.
Yes.
They won the bid with Trinidad.
Yes.
And then the Trinidad government was concerned about the financial irregularities, right?
Yes.
I've got a copy of that, and I wrote them, and Medivy EMS has lost that bid.
Yes.
Okay? And I want to talk about that later today, because it ends up that at 210 John Street, where Ambulance New Brunswick is headquartered in Moncton.
Yes.
My process server went there the other day, and I asked him, I said, ask the Alan Stephen, the head honcho there, who the company SMU NBEMS is. They're on their business cards. Robin O'Hara uses that for his email address and the whole 9 yards, and it's not registered at corporate registry.
Yes.
Okay? So when my process server, Christopher Burden, went down there, he asked Mr. Stephen, he said, here's this letter to SMU NBEMS, who is it? And he said, well, they're a pharmacy who are in the building.
Yes.
Then I find out that the pharmacy has two other names and is not registered.
Yes.
And they're like, they mail out prescriptions across Canada and internationally.
Yes.
And they seem to cater to the university kids too. And they will send the prescriptions just on the basis of a doctor's note. And it's all sent in a brown envelope that is very discreet to even the university students.
Yes.
And this, they're doing very well, okay? They're doing very well. And there's a company I have linked up to that kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not quite sure if they're the genesis of any of this type of operation, but it's a Heenan Blakey law firm in Toronto area.
Yes.
And it's has John Cretchen as one of the legal consultants.
Yes.
He's a lawyer. And one of the senior partners just recently quit, and it was in the National Post.
Yes.
I would like this all to go to the National Post, if we could get it up there, and tell them about what I have uncovered. And would you want your daughter or son to be going to university and getting these discrete medical prescriptions and stuff in brown envelopes, and the company can dispatch or sell Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 prescription drugs, okay?
Yes.
And Schedule 1 is is under the Controlled Substances Act.
Yes.
And I've got more, okay?
Yes.
I've got more. And they've got one person hired at that pharmacy, that's at Ambulance, New Brunswick at 210 John Street,
Yes.
who is mandated to get to the university students.
Yes.
Okay? What better way than when, you know, you go to a university student who may be vulnerable or may be trying to write exams and need something to stay up all night or whatever. I'm not saying this is the case, but I do read the newspapers and listen to the news. Not the Brunswick news.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, I don't hear too much about any of this. I reported most of this to Irving newspaper, okay?
Yes.
My position has been from the get-go that Irving or one of his relatives is involved in this Ponzi scheme of multiple subsidiaries.
Yes.
And one of the people who works at this pharmacy that is not registered at Service New Brunswick came there from Brunswick News.
Yes.
And he is an IT guy. And there's going to be a lot more. You and I are going to sit down this weekend and show just what we know.
Yes.
Okay? Because this is the kind of thing that is hush-hush. I have the documentation that went to Trinidad.
Yes.
And the paper TNT Mirror prints a lot of good information there. And they seem to be more on the ball than our government.
Yes.
You know, in terms of accountability and making sure contracts are done right. And there's an old saying, getting back to Heenan Blakey, a lot of people will say, well, John Fredericton, he wouldn't be involved in anything, and I'm not saying for sure he is, except that in 2004, he was criticized for patronage jobs to people who were his friends and so forth, for jobs that they may not have been up to or qualified to get, but they got them through patronage, which is a form of white-collar corruption.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And also, Mr. Chrétien was criticized for spending public funds in Quebec and putting it out there that it was for another reason. And
Yes.
I have a book all on this stuff, and I'd like to know if Heenan Blakey is involved in this scheme of pharmacies across Canada.
Yes.
Especially the one in New Brunswick, okay?
Yes.
In any way.
Yes.
Because I have heard nothing from Detective Ed Smith from the crime unit here, who is supposed to be looking into this stuff.
Yes.
And I have very little doubt that when the police investigate themselves, it's usually, I'd like to see the OPP and the RCMP get involved.
Yes.
Because this goes down to the states too. A lot of these people who get into Ponzi schemes and this type of thing are government people with connections and lots of money, and then they do deals down, like let's say Trinidad. There is a company in Dieppe as well, known as Malay Industries,
Yes.
who does all the refurbishing of ambulances here in the province.
Yes.
Now, in this province, 25% of ambulances are taken off the street every year, sent to Malay Industries, refurbished, and then sold on to places like Newfoundland and Ontario to private companies. And then I was told that last year, 20 Mexicans came to Dieppe, bought refurbished ambulances for somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. 20 Mexican come they took 20 ambulances back to Mexico. But my question is, what else did they take back?
Yes.
There's this gold mine of a pharmacy down there, and were they taking pills and stuffing it into the ambulances or something like that?
Yes.
This is the kind of stuff we have to report to the people in the States, like the FBI or whoever is looking into drug control and how it gets into their country.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, can I interrupt, folks?
Pardon?
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
And yours?
I'm Corporal Chandler.
Who?
Corporal Chandler.
We were supposed to meet the chief.
Well, the chief is waiting for you.
Where does he want to meet us?
Right through that door.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's just you, Evelyn. You're serving the documents, okay? So, Andre, you're going to have to wait in the lobby if you don't mind, please.
I really don't want to go alone.
Well, Andre is not going to be going in, okay? This is a secure police facility.
Well, he's one of the most polite people I know.
Okay, and he can stay here. He can stay here waiting for you.
He doesn't even swear.
Oh, it's okay. We don't mind swearing because we hear it all the time.
I thought the chief would like to come out and...
Well, we're going to go back there, but he's waiting for you right now. So
Okay.
as soon as you're prepared to go, he's right through that door, and we're going to go back and meet him.
So you're going to guarantee that I'll be safe, no one's...
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. No question about it.
I don't want to end up in ID with bruises.
Nope.
So what's the reason that I can't go back with Evelyn?
Because this is a secure police facility.
Okay.
And you have no reason to be back there, okay?
Well, couldn't the chief come out and just receive the documents?
Can't he just come out and...
No, we're going back there. And the reason that we're going to do it back there is because everything is video and audio recorded. Because I know you have issues with us, okay? And we don't want you to feel...
Oh, you're doing it in camera?
On camera, absolutely.
Okay, I would really like my friend Andre to be there.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to go back, Evelyn, okay? So the chief's waiting for you.
Okay.
Okay?
If that's the way it
Yeah.
is, we're not going to fight the process.
Okay.
Because I just want mostly to get
Yeah,
this...
let's go get it done, very fast. Okay.
I'll be right back, Andre.
All right.
Is that it, Smith? No.
Looks like my shirt or knees.
All right, back from the depths of the Fredericton police force.
I just got arrested.
That's
Put it on camera.
it's on camera right now.
Okay, put it on camera. Chief, good night. had me go in, Chief McKnight had me go in this morning
Yes.
to accept the documents that we talked about earlier, the notice and the statement of claim.
So they lied.
So they didn't want you to go in with me, right?
So did they lie about what was actually occurring?
No, they
No?
just didn't give me the full story.
Ah.
So what happened, Andre, was that I went in to give the documents, and the chief read his over, and he said that he would give a copy. All the officers were served at one time.
Yes.
They were hiding behind a door, and each one come out one at a time.
Yes.
And I served them, so they're all served.
Okay.
And then a couple of police officers appeared and said, Evelyn, we want you to know that you are under arrest.
Arrest.
Just like that.
For what?
And I said, for what? And they said that I am being charged for mischief under section 430 1A 3A of the criminal code, which is, mischief. And you'll never believe who the people are who are charging me with mischief.
Who is that?
The other day, in the morning, you asked me if I would serve papers on Trina Rogers
Yes.
and Neil Rogers
Yes.
at, what was that address again? Was it 15 Fisher Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. When I went there, as I told you that day,
Yes.
their house is very run down. It's century-old house, and the door, obviously the dog has chewed the door, the screen and everything else, okay?
Yes.
And the dog was barking at me, and its big long tongue was sticking out, and I was a little bit nervous of it.
Yes.
But I said to her, are you Trina Rogers? And she was on the phone.
So you saw her through the door?
Yes.
Okay. And you clearly identified who she was from the description.
Yes.
Yes.
She had glasses and long, thick, reddish, dark hair. And I just said, I'm serving this document on behalf of my friend, and she didn't want to take it.
Yes.
So there was this great big hole in the thing, just big enough to, well, it was a little bigger than the envelope. I just stuck it there, and the dog was right there.
Yes.
And
So you slid it through like a mail slot.
slid it through like a milk thing.
Like as if it was a
Yeah.
mail slot. Yes.
And I left. I said thank you, and I left.
Yes.
And that dog was still barking. That dog.
Oh, and
nobody-
also you announced that you were process serving court documents,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
So she was aware that you were process serving court documents.
Yeah, I wasn't
who they were
there
from.
to harass her,
Yes.
and I don't even know those people.
And you announced all that to her, so she was
Yeah.
aware what was occurring. It wasn't as if you just jumped out of the bushes and it was you actually announced what you were doing, what your purpose was, what the envelope was, and she refused to accept service.
She didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who she was.
Yes.
So I just said I have some court papers, and I'm just process serving, and I quickly said that, and she was at the door at that time, and then she left to go on to the phone, and the dog was barking at me, this rather large dog. It must be quite big. And I was scared of the dog because I have a heart defibrillator, and I don't need any dog taking a chunk out of my heart defibrillator and putting me in the morgue, right?
Yes. So you clearly identified her for who she was. She was in the correct address for service.
Yes.
She fit the description, so you knew who she was. You called her by name, and you announced you were process serving documents, and then she just ran to the phone.
I didn't phone there. I have not harassed them.
Yes.
To me, this is a bogus complaint.
Yes.
And now they're asking that I don't go to their place of employment, which is 50 Jervis Court, Fredericton. I don't even know what that is.
Yes.
And 2192 Route 102, Lincoln, New Brunswick.
Yes.
Andre, I haven't been to Lincoln for maybe 2 years. I'm not sure. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to harass these people. I don't know them. I don't want anything to do with them.
Yes.
And or their dog.
Yes.
Okay. So I was told that I could give a little statement while I'm here, or I could do it later.
Yes.
I'd rather do it while I'm here. I have nothing to hide. It was done in a short time. That dog had that door all chewed up and the screen long before I ever got there.
Yes. So did they explain what the mischief was, or were they vague about it?
No, they said they wouldn't.
They wouldn't explain it. Okay.
No.
Did they...
Just that I put an envelope. I think he did mention something about that I put an envelope in through the door.
Yes.
Well, there's a big hole there.
Yes.
So, and I wasn't going to open the door or anything with the dog.
Yes. Well, it turns out it looks like you successfully served them, seeing as how the Trader Rogers...
This is what is wasting the city money, okay?
Yes, people like this that are making these frivolous charges.
I came in here and complained about 4 police officers who beat me up at Ambulance, New Brunswick.
Yes.
On May the 13th, 2011.
Yes.
Okay? The police chief dismissed it as frivolous.
Yes.
And I still have the lumps. See the lumps?
Let me get the angle here. Yes.
And this lump here.
Yes.
And the chief did not even want to get the proper evidence of the CCTV
see it really well.
video.
Yes.
Hmm?
You can see it really well in this angle. The bump's actually shining.
The thing is, I got bodily injury.
Yes.
Nobody will tell me who the insurance company is.
Yes.
Then it went to Chief McKnight wrote the NB Police Commission, and he asked if he should bring in an outside investigator, being the police and the Crown work close together.
Yes.
And the NB Police Commission said, no, don't bother. And they knew at that time too, because I told them, that the CCTV video from Atlantic Alarm should be gotten in before they tamper with it further, and it's of no use.
Yes.
The chief would not get a warrant to get that video. He refused.
Yes.
And Robin O'Hara is the paramedic over at Ambulance New Brunswick. He's the regional manager.
Yes.
And he said that he wrote a letter to one of the culprits, Sebastian Blanchet, who was in charge of handling the carriage of the evidence.
Yes.
And giving it to the police and from the police to the Crown.
Yes.
Now he's one of the culprits.
Yes.
Okay? So in other words, the police investigated themselves.
Yes.
And why I am being charged here on this bogus trespassing is just further harassment from the police.
So
I did nothing wrong at Trina Rogers, and even one of the police officers in there today said to me, Ms. Greene, thank you very much for cooperating with us. Well, I said, what did you expect? Well, I didn't know. But I said, I cooperate with everybody.
Yes.
I do cooperate.
Yes.
And so the perception must be, he said, well, I've never met you before. The perception around here must be that I'm not cooperative, which
Yes.
is the furthest thing from the truth. You know, and they know my daughter's getting married next week.
Yes.
And I'm going to Vegas. So this, oh, and I said to him, he said, this will give you an opportunity to get a lawyer. And I said, well, I'm learning quite a bit now, having been through what I have, about police, you know, like about what goes on and disclosure and the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
And he said, but you've got a heart condition. What about the stress?
Yes.
Well, do they not realize that paying a lawyer $250 an hour when you don't really have the money is stress?
Certainly is stress, and
they do this because they want to stress me out and cause me a heart attack.
yes.
The chief of police there at night is an evil man.
Yes.
Okay? He'll do anything. And you saw that, like, having me come in here today and then ambushing me into a room of 4 police officers and telling me that I'm being charged.
Yes. And they refuse
for
to...
a bogus trespass.
What's interesting is they refuse to allow me in with the camera, and they refuse to allow even me in without a camera. There wasn't any, well, if you don't bring the camera you can come. It was just, you have to stay out and Evelyn must go by herself.
Yeah.
So why is it that we cannot record our own experiences, but they can record for their benefit, and then they'll never disclose? See, what was interesting is before you went in, they said we want to have everything on camera for their own protection because of a history of between yourself and the Fredericton Police Force. But so why is it not a reciprocal thing where you can have your own video footage and recording for your own benefit? And what's interesting is you'll never get a copy of that video footage. It's not likely to happen. No matter what disclosure you request, they're just not going to disclose it. I don't believe so anyway.
The only thing I know what to do now is just go in there and cooperate, and that's what I did. And it's better that way because, you know, it's like when they shoved me in that CNC room because I reported pill abuse with the paramedics and the nurses, and the police wouldn't investigate.
Yes.
And I knew if I fought back down there that I could be dead. They could over-restrain me or anything.
Yes.
And it's like going to the place where the dog is. I don't want to put my hand in any screen where the dog's going to bite it. There was a hole there big enough for a whole new screen to go in there.
Yes.
And I just dropped the paper there and left.
What's interesting is those same individuals that you had served are the same people that are attempting to have me charged with assault and which is a frivolous, vexatious claim. It is not founded in truth whatsoever.
Hi, Ellen. If you're ready.
I'll be right there. And what I will say too about this is a chance for them to, like, when I went to serve papers at City Hall, I got assaulted by Brenda Knight, the city clerk.
Yes.
And she had said 2 days earlier, if you see Miss Greene coming around to perpetual security, then take action.
Yes.
So that what it is they don't want us serving papers because they know we don't have a lot of money, and it's more not as convenient hiring people to do it for us.
They'd rather wear us down by attrition.
Yeah.
So you're going back in for what right now?
I'm going back in to give my, I'm going to get a statement now. I don't have to. I have nothing to hide.
Are you sure it's wise to do that?
There's a big dog there.
Yes.
And I left. I wasn't even there 3 minutes. So I have no intentions of doing anything with Trina Rogers or the other guy.
Anything you say will be used against you, and they'll even twist your words up, no matter what you say as
well,
innocent.
You know what? I'm a big girl. If they want to twist my words, go ahead. I'm not going to go out and pay a lawyer for a trespass to something I didn't do. I know how I will be dealing with this.
Okay, you have to decide your own destiny, and I'll be here waiting for you when you come back. Thank you. Back again.
I wonder if my, he was a very polite person.
Was he?
Yeah.
Alright, so, did they grill you about what happened?
Yeah, but I wasn't, what you call, badgered.
Yes.
And,
Would you like to do the interview in front of the police sign?
Okay.
Okay.
And I wanted to, I mean, I was only at that house for maybe 3 minutes.
Yes.
And I wanted to say, you know, there was a big dog there.
Yes.
And the building is old, and, you know, the screen was torn and everything like that.
Yes.
And that was the only door that was open.
Yes.
No other door open. And it was just she never opened the door. I never opened the door.
Yes.
That screen door.
Yes.
So that's it. That's all I want to say.
Okay. And you feel like the interview went well? You gave it was a video statement you did?
Yes.
Okay. And did they ask you any questions, or they just had you make a statement without any direction?
They asked me good questions.
Oh yeah?
The one guy asked me good questions, yeah. And, you know, all I could do was answer as honest as I could.
Yes.
And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give Miss Rogers any indication of what I told the police.
Okay. That's fair enough. Okay, well thank you for that, Evelyn. And this is Justice Done Dirt Cheap, and that's all for now.